Othello stands apart from the rest of Shakespeare's late-era masterpieces. Written around 1610, it abandons the sweeping royal battlefields of his other works for something far more feverish and deeply psychological. While Hamlet and King Lear operate on a cosmic scale, dealing with the fate of kingdoms, this play is intimate and character-driven, confined to tight domestic spaces. This section of the source analysis reveals Shakespeare's raw material, a 1565 Italian novel by Giraldi Cinthio, a work of crude, sensationalist melodrama. In that version, the villain beats the heroine to death with a sand-filled stocking before collapsing a ceiling on her to hide the evidence. The mystery lies in the transformation, how Shakespeare stripped away these lurid pulp elements to build a tragedy where the destruction is powered entirely from within. This critical commentary highlights a famous argument from Dr. Samuel Johnson. He claimed the entire first act was unnecessary and the story should have started on Cyprus, but that critique ignores the underlying architecture. The first act is a perfectly engineered seminary. It plants what the source calls the prolific germ. Every action, motive, and vulnerability required for the final catastrophe is established here in the opening scenes. Skipping these scenes means missing the introduction to Iago's methodology, long before he begins his work on Othello. Iago isn't motivated by simple revenge for a lost promotion. The text reveals a man driven by an original malignity of nature. He ruins others because he enjoys the mechanics of the process. This excerpt shows his first test subject, Rodrigo. Shakespeare invented this character from scratch specifically to demonstrate Iago's baseline methods. Rodrigo is a man empty of virtue. His mind has no defense mechanisms, leaving his pride and his lust wide open to attack. Against a weak target, Iago uses blunt force trauma. He overwhelms Rodrigo's mind with rapid-fire commands, battering down his hesitation through repetition. When dealing with a weak, vice-ridden mind, manipulation relies on persistence and overwhelming external pressure. Othello, however, presents the exact opposite problem. He possesses a perfect soul, with no glaring vices to exploit. But the blunt force playbook is useless here. If Iago were to offer a dishonorable suggestion to a man this honorable, he'd expose himself instantly. So Iago executes a pivot. He employs the artfulest simulation, attacking Othello's integrity rather than his flaws. He creates a psychological vacuum, pulling Othello's virtues outward until they snap under the strain. He fakes reluctance to speak. He accuses himself of jealousy. He uses dark, frightful pauses. By refusing to give straight answers, Iago forces Othello to play the interrogator. The general's own desire for the truth drags the fabricated lies out of Iago's mouth. By the end of the exchange, Iago hasn't pushed Othello into the abyss. He has convinced an honorable man that falling into it is a moral necessity. In the original 1565 novel, the tragedy was driven by physical violence and collapsing roofs. Shakespeare's adaptation shifts the devastation entirely inside the mind. Iago merely provides the friction required for Othello's rigid sense of honor to consume itself. It is the terrifying reality of a massive, immovable structure collapsing under the weight of its own internal pressure. This changes the way we look at manipulation. We are not only vulnerable in our darkest secrets or our weaknesses, our finest traits, trust, honor, and the desire for justice, are the exact points of entry for those who wish to destroy us.